Ammar. Now we're looking at data here, the infamous data. You're looking at engine RPMs, throttle position, and GPS. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so these are just some basic information off the motorcycle, RPM, throttle, and speed. And we use this to compare how two riders are getting around the track. Obviously, it can be used for other things like gearing and well, really primarily gearing this screen. But in this instant, we're comparing Steve Rapp to Chris Clark to try and see what areas of the track that Chris can work on to improve his lap time and get closer to where Steve is.
Okay, which one of those is the most telling for you and the most easy for him to work with?
Well, I think when we look at this particular graph, the thing we focus on first is speed. Anywhere you see a speed difference, that's a gain or loss of lap time. From there, we go and look at the other aspects of what's going on, when the throttle's being open, how hard it's being open, what kind of gear he's in, and things of this nature. But really, the speed is the key trace to see how you're getting around the track.
Dark green is Chris and light green is Steve?
That's correct. Red, the colored traces are Chris, and the ones that are green across the board, light green, that's Steve.
So talk us through this lap a little bit. What are you seeing as you go through it, and what are you and Chris, I guess, seeing for his purposes?
Okay, well, this is what we're looking at here is the whole lap. You can see the track map here. As I move the cursor through the data, you can see the small red dot traverse its way around the track. So starting at the beginning of the lap, before we blow in and blow up any of these sections and analyze them in detail, you can look at the peaks and the valleys and see where the biggest discrepancies are. You know, at the end of the back straight, they reach about the same terminal velocity. They're on the same motorcycles. They roughly weigh about the same, so that's to be expected. But in some of these other sections, you can see that Steve is faster in the middle of the corners. Some corners, the speeds are very similar. For instance, turn 11, you know, the difference between the best riders in the world and club guys, it's not going to be that much because there's only so fast you can go through a short, you know, small turn like that. But if we take some of the faster segments like this sweeper 5 leading into the carousel, you can see there's a huge speed difference there, and that's where lap time can be gained. So that's really what we do. We look at the whole lap and focus on the area where there are big differences and work on those corners.
The age-old adage of go slow in the slow turns and fast in the fast turns.
That's right. So, I mean, it sounds kind of obvious, but we now have the ability to quantify that, you know, down to the 100th of a second, really.
You know, having Rapp here is just invaluable to be able to get some good data on competitive lap times and to be able to see exactly what that entails. You know, lay the graphs right over top of each other and see the difference. And I mean, takes all the mystery out of it. It's like, wow, okay, you're in this inch of the racetrack, you're 6.2 kilometers down, and this inch, the next inch, I mean, it maps it out.
Well, let's start at the beginning of the lap. So what I can do is I can zoom in, and this is entering turn 1. Steve's carrying a little bit more speed through here, about 6 miles an hour. He's able to get the throttle open a little bit sooner, but really the big advantage is entering 2 here. Chris rolls out of the throttle a bit where Steve is able to hold it on a bit further. Here,
that big drop right here, is that where he's just shutting the throttle and grabbing the brake?
That's correct.
And so this curve represents more where Chris would be kind of rolling out of it and coasting into a braking situation.
That's correct. And then Chris is actually applying the throttle considerably more than Steve here, but ultimately this is the faster way through the corner, into and through the corner. So more throttle doesn't necessarily always mean faster. In most cases it does, but you know, in subtle situations when you're trying to navigate a corner a little bit differently, you could be giving up some lap time. Okay, so just moving forward through the lap again, it's just going to be a little bit everywhere that adds up. Steve's a little bit quicker to the gas here, but even though they're at considerably different lap times, they're approaching 3A at about the same rate. So again, the concept of go fast in the fast corners really applies. So we move forwards.
Now wait, back up. Where is this turn on the map?
3A, that's that corner there. So as they come out of 2, they're accelerating, they're shifting up through the gears. This event here is where they chop the throttle and go to the brakes. And you can see they're cutting the throttle at about the same time. And as they come into the corner, they're about the same speed. Steve's a little bit faster, but I'm just going to move forward to turn 5 because this is a area where, you know, significant gains can be made.
That's this one here.
Yeah, this little one here is 4. This one here we're going to call 5, and just a little bit of, you know, extra throttle there translates into a lot more roll speed through there, and that's where gains can be made. So the point is that we can look at this and really focus on the corners that need to be worked on.
Yeah, because this difference here is almost 15 mile an hour.
Yeah, well, we can tell you exactly. You're pretty good, Dave. 14.1.
I'll recalibrate later at the shop.
There you go. Anyways, we can continue to go around the lap, but that's the gist of it, really. We can look at all kinds of other things to...
There was one on here before that had the gear sensor.
Yeah, I took the gear sensor off of there just to make this a little bit easier to read. But we can read gear position, we can read air-fuel ratio, you know, a whole host of things.
Is there anything monstrous in the gear changing where Steve's grabbing 2 gears, or Chris is downshifting way earlier, or anything like that?
I mean, there can be. We have the gearing set up the same on both bikes, and they're using roughly the same gears, so it's pretty close. But yeah, you can have differences that could ultimately lead to a faster or slower lap time.
Okay, since turn 5 was a key turn, and you've obviously been working that, I take it.
Yeah.
What was the instruction, or what is Chris working on to improve that turn?
I mean, really, keeping the throttle open to carry more speed through there. I mean, that's all it boils down to. And looking at Steve's setup and knowing, okay, because they're on very similar setups, that the tires and the bike have the grip to support that. So now it's about working your way up to what the bike's ultimately capable of doing.
So essentially, Chris isn't going to run out of lean angle before Steve, because you know the setups are similar enough. He just needs to apply more gas.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a lot easier said than done when we're sitting here in the pits and, you know, drinking our water underneath the canopy. It's hot out there, and you know, it takes a lot of balls to ride those bikes like that. So, but yeah, essentially it comes down to, you know, the data is here to support the fact that you're going to stay on the track at that speed.
Because I've thought that following faster riders before, well, he's sticking, so I should be able to stick.
Yeah, I mean, same concept, only it's in digital format other than being out on the track.
Very cool. Well, thank you for giving us a look into what you guys do these days in the 21st century to go fast.
My pleasure.